Zeros to tens, pick up your pens, class in session. This is some life lessons because strive less N when you heal. Ow! Hi, it's Lotus Ubax, and welcome to Healing with Yoga and Creativity. As you can tell by that little intro, class in session, and today's topic will be essentially a book review. I've started this book, disclaimers, I want to say 2 years ago, but it is called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and it is a spiritual path to higher creativity. And as you guys know, one of my traumas is I had to suppress my creativity because it was deemed haram thanks to my conservative Muslim parents. And I literally tapped into my creative spirit, my creative energy, I would say 4 years ago. And so ever since then, I've been doing a lot of writing, doing a lot of poetry, and I realized I am a creative. I'm multidisciplinary creative, and this book has been helping me cement my actual creative path, but reclaim it. And this is what we'll be covering today. And so right off the bat, I read this book 2 years ago. I got it at the library. I fell in love with it so much that I bought my own copy. And now I am doing the 12 weeks commitment, hence the video. And I thought that I'm going to do a book review. Each chapter, there's 12 chapters for the 12 weeks. And essentially, we'll start with week 1. And when we're looking at it, the table of contents, I really like it because it gives you an overview of what to expect in this book, but also gives you an idea of what that 12 weeks would look like. And what I really appreciated was week 1, it's essentially, the title is Recovering a Sense of Safety. And that's very powerful for people who have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD. We don't even feel safe within our bodies because we were traumatized in our formative years, and a lot of us, to survive, we had to dissociate from our own bodies. And week 1, the topic is recovering that sense of safety. And then it goes on to week 2, recovering a sense of identity, because CPTSD, it taints our perception of who we are, who our identity is. Unfortunately, our identity usually is trauma responses. And so week 2 dives into how do you recover that sense of identity. Week 3 is a sense of power, recovering a sense of power. Week 4 is recovering a sense of integrity. Week 5 is recovering a sense of possibility. Then it goes on to essentially recovering is the theme, as you guys can tell. And so week 6 is recovering a sense of abundance. Week 7 is a sense of connection. Week 8 is a sense of strength. And then week 9 is a sense of compassion. Week 10 is sense of self-protection. Week 11 is a sense of autonomy. And then the last thing that we are recovering in week 12 is our sense of faith. So I really look forward to doing this book series and talking about the chapters. And then I'm also going to do a separate video because each week there is activities, I would say, that you have to do. Call it activities, call it homework, call it whatever you like, but I am going to do a separate video. So these are just essentially an overview of the topics on how I understand it, since y'all like my thoughts. So let's start right into it. And right off the bat, what I really liked about it, it's on page 3. There is basics principle. There are 10 basic principles to creativity. And when I was reading this, I was like, okay, this is why creativity was deemed haram for me, because for whatever reason, Islam does not like it. And anything, you're essentially, what their idea is, what Muslims truly believe, is that creativity is forbidden because only Allah, the creator, can create. I don't know about that. I can create myself too. Anyhow, back to these basic principles. So there are 10 basic principles. And I'm going to read them out to you because I really resonated with them. I really think it is true. So, number one is creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. Yes, it is. Life is not about worshiping. No, no, no. Number two, there is an underlining, indwelling creative force infusing all of life, including ourselves. Number three, when we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the creator's creativity within us and our lives. Yeah, people would be like, no, 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 that's not possible. Anyhow, number four would be we are ourselves creation, and we in turn are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. Number five, creativity is God's gifts to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to God. Yes. Number six, the refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. And so this one, I wrote that trauma is the refusal in that will, because a lot of kids unfortunately had that creative spirit, whether it's religious or whether it's strict parents that didn't want them to express creativity. So that refusal to be creative is not really self-will, but more so being conditioned and being cut off from your creative energy. Anyhow, let's go to number seven. When we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to God. Good, orderly direction. Okay? As we open our creative channel to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. Yes. Creativity's power. It is safe to open ourselves up to greater and greater creativity. It is safe to open ourselves up to greater and greater creativity. Yes, it is. Our creative dreams and yearning come from a divine source. As we move towards our dreams, we move towards our divinity. Creativity is divinity. And so I really like that. And then a lot of what really resonated for me, because I didn't start this creative journey until I was like 33. That's when I realized that I'm a poet, that I'm an artist, I'm a creative. And there is a voice in my head that would sometimes, the imposter would tell me that it's too late to be creative, but it's never too late. The only time it's too late is literally when you are not able, either you're not breathing or something happened to you, but it's never too late. Anyhow, moving on to something called the basic tool. So to reclaim your creativity, I really like the author. She introduced me to two concepts. The first is called the morning pages, and I am really proud of myself. I've been doing my morning pages ever since October 2024. So basically 2 years. And you might be wondering what the morning pages is. And so essentially is the moment you wake up, you take 3 pages and just whatever's in your head, write it down. Whether those thoughts are what happened the day before, what you want to plan for your day, any traumas, anything that's ruminating in your mind, just get it out on that paper. Write. And I've been doing this for like 2 years, and I can see how my thoughts have progressed and changed over time. And so she goes on to say, there is no wrong way to be doing the morning pages. These daily morning pages are meanderings of what's meant to be, not art. So writing down whatever comes to mind. Nothing is too petty, too silly, too stupid, or too weird to be included. And so all that angry, whiny, petty stuff that you write down in the morning pages stands between you and your creativity. So don't be shy to be like, oh gosh, I don't want to, that's too cringe to write that. It's in your head, write it down, darling. And so the morning pages are the primary tool of creative recovery. As blocked artists, we tend to criticize ourselves mercilessly, and we look like functioning artists to the world. We feel like we do enough, but what isn't, we are in our minds too much. And so by getting out right out of bed and going straight onto our pages every morning, you learn to essentially evade those nagging inner dialogues. Um, as you can tell, your girl got lots of thoughts. And so that was number one. So morning pages is the basic tool. Do not skip out. When I tell you, like, if you forget, it's okay to do it in the evening as long as you do it in the day. I told you guys I've been doing this since almost 2 years. Out of those 2 years, yeah, there's been a couple of there's been a couple of days where I was like, oh shit, I forgot to do my morning papers, and it was like evening pages, but it still got done. And then so that's the morning pages. That's the first basic tool. Number two is number two is something called the artist state. And so we know we have the morning pages and how it helps us essentially get rid of those inner dialogues or whatever. What I like how the author puts it in this way. So she's like, think of the combination of these tools. So think of the combination of the morning pages and the artist state as a radio transmitter to receive and transmit. It's a two-step, two-directional process, out and in. So doing your morning pages, you are sending, you're notifying your hopes to the universe, your dreams, dissatisfaction, and then doing your artist state, you are receiving, opening yourself into insight, inspiration, and guidance. And even though I'm as proud as I am to be doing 2 years of morning pages, there is no shame. I'm releasing that shame, but my artist state has been really lacking. And now that I'm rereading this, I can see the importance of, yes, the morning pages are very important, but weekly artist dates for yourself is very crucial to recover that creativity, especially within at least this 12 weeks, you know? And so doing your artist date, you are receiving, you're opening up. And so you might be wondering, what's an artist date? An artist date is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours weekly, especially set aside, committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist. In its most primary form, the artist date is an executionary play, a play date that you pre-plan and defend against all interruptions. You do not take anyone on this artist date. It's just you and your inner artist child. And so your artist, your inner artist needs to be pampered. It needs to be taken out and it needs to be listened to. And now that I'm rereading this, like, I'm gonna honor my inner artist and take it seriously. Take it seriously. Anyway, so some ideas of creative artist state could be, you could visit the thrift store, you could go to the beach, to the park, go to an old movie alone, visit anything, go to an art gallery. Just be creative, nurture that creativity within. And it doesn't have to cost money. Think of free creative ways. And then, so spending time in solitude with your creative artist child is essential to self-nurturing. Commit yourself weekly artist date and then watch your killjoy. So something called killjoy is like, I guess, like your inner side to kind of suppress it. Being as adults, you don't want to have fun, but don't forget to play. So as artists, we must learn to self-nourish. We must become alert enough to consciously replenish our creative resources as we draw on them to restock. So essentially, think of the artist state as a way to fill yourself back up. And it is filling yourself back up because you set and committed to 2 hours within your week just to focus on that creative side within yourself, you know? So art is born in attention. It's okay, so it's midwife. Sorry, my eyes are hurting. Its midwife is detailed. Art may seem to be aspiring from pain, but hues that it becomes pain serves to focus our attention onto details. Art is born, sorry, let me reread that again. Art is born in attention. Its midwife is detailed. Art may seem to spring from pain, but perhaps that is because pain serves to focus our attention on details. And for me, obviously CPTSD is that pain. That's the pain where that art is coming from. And as you can tell, a lot of my writing, people resonate, and I appreciate that. Yeah, so there's also a contract that I should re-sign again because I did not finish my 12 weeks. But essentially it states that I, Lotus Ubax, understand that I am undertaking an intensive, guided encounter with my own creativity. I commit myself to the 12-week duration of the course. I, Lotus Ubax, commit to weekly reading, daily morning pages, a weekly artist date, and the fulfillment of each week's task. I, Lotus Ubax, further understand that this course will raise issues and emotions for me to deal with. I, Lotus Ubax, commit myself to excellent self-care, adequate sleep, diet, exercise, and pampering for the duration of this course. So a creativity contract is needed, whether you are gonna commit yourself to that contract is okay. I know I didn't, but it's okay. We move, we try again. Now, chapter 1, recovering a sense of safety. As you know, when you have CPTSD, you don't feel safe within yourself. And when you don't feel safe within yourself, it's going to be really hard to create anything, let alone life, let alone love. And so I really like how she introduced this concept of something called the shadow artist. So as young artists, we need what we need and want to be acknowledged for our attempts and our efforts for our creative achievements and triumphs. Unfortunately, many artists never receive this critical early encouragement. As a result, they may not know they are artists at all. So some parents might say, like, some parents, depending if they're really religious like mine, they might yell at you and like trying to persuade you to not create, whereas others might not even acknowledge your creative side during your formative years. And so I wrote that my creative side was deemed haram, and so there was a lot of shame with my creative side. So all too often, the artistic urge of the artist child is ignored or suppressed. So too intimidated to become artists themselves, very often too low in self-worth to even recognize that they have an artistic dream, these people become something called the shadow artist instead. They are artists themselves, but ignorant to their true identity. The shadow artists are to be found in different careers, unable to recognize themselves, or they're not able to recognize themselves or their creativity that they have, but others can see it. And when I was reading that, that hit me. I was like, wow, like, but now I see my creativity and I own it and I protect it. So I was like, my shadow artist was that it contributes to low self-worth and self-abandonment when you had to decide as a child, do you want to get your ass beat for creating in secret, or do you suppress it? Right now, I wish I got my ass beat for creating, you know, I never wish I suppressed it. Would have been totally different. Anyway, so artists So shadow artists often choose shadow careers. They choose careers that are not aligned with the creative path. And for me, I could see that because I'm not in a creative field, though I am working towards that now that I reclaim it. So, in order to move from the realm of the shadow into the light of creativity, shadow artists must learn to take themselves seriously with gentle, deliberate effort. They must nurture their artist child. Creativity is play, but for these shadow artists, learning to allow themselves to play is hard work. It really is. Like, for me, I'm reclaiming that. I'm taking that seriously. Like, I am an artist. I could write. I could do whatever this is. I could do collages. I could dance. I could bake, like, and cook. And so for me, I'm moving into that. Like, I've been into the shadow. Trauma keeps you in the shadow, yo. Like, when you don't want to be seen, where do you go? You go in the fucking shadows, goddamn. Anyway, that's the shadow that you're coming into. And so now I am taking myself seriously. I promise to take myself seriously. And in order to do that, it's a perfect segue to how do you take yourself seriously? How do you protect that artist child within? So, protecting that artist child within, number one, you have to remember your artist is a child. Find and protect that child. Learning to let yourself create is learning to walk. That artist child must begin by crawling. Baby steps will follow, and there will be falls. Typically, the recovering shadow artist will use these early efforts, such as like discouragement, to not continue. But what I really liked about it, she goes like, judging your early artistic effort is artistic abuse. This happens in a number of ways. Beginning work is measured against the masters of others. Beginning work is exposed to premature critics. And so I don't want to abuse myself. And so when you are judging yourself too harshly, you are essentially abusing yourself. And CPTSD, that does that. So I really like that the author is directly telling you no judgments, especially in your early days. You are a child. Your artist is a child. The more you devote to it, the better it grows and walks and becomes flourishing. So in recovering from our creative blocks, it is necessary to go gently and slowly. What we are after here is the healing of old wounds, not the creation of new ones. This is healing that inner child that was not allowed to create. And so I honor to not open new wounds on that, and because I don't want to stop creating. So remember, in order to recover an artist, you must be willing to be a bad artist. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. Be willing to be a bad artist, a chance to be an artist. And so I've been allowing myself to make ugly art. I'm going down this phase of ugly arts, which I will show right here, I guess, here. And so now we know we are protecting it, but what are we protecting this inner artist child of ours? Your enemy within, your core negative beliefs. So when I was reading this, immediately I thought, for CPTSD, those core negative beliefs, it's not us, it's thoughts that we picked up in our environment, and that's reflective of the parental lack of love that you got. Anyway, and so now that we are taking that same negativity and turning it back into us. So most of the time, when we are blocked in an area of our life, it's because we feel safer that way. We may not be happy, but at least we know we are unhappy. Most of our fears of our own creativity is the fear of the unknown. So there's a lot of fears that you will do bad work or whatnot. So none of those core negative that's going on inside your head, they don't come from us. They come from our parents, our religion, our culture, our feel for friends. This is CPTSD. These are the negative thoughts that come from it. And so I really like it. I think this book was written into like the 30th anniversary. So this was like written before CPTSD became a thing, like 1996 or early mid 90s. So essentially, I'm reading this. I'm like, what she's spelling out is CPTSD. Or negative, they come from our families, our parents, our religion, our culture. They are just negative beliefs. They are beliefs, not facts. And so we just have to rememberize that. And so, how can we fight these negative thoughts? Our greatest tool is affirmation. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, woo woo woo, everything's affirmation. Prayer is affirmation. Twisted affirmations. Anyhow, your ally within affirmative weapons. So, affirmations will help you allow yourself to do it. An affirmation is a positive statement of positive belief. And if we become 1/10 of good at positive self talk, as we are at negative self talk, we will notice enormous change. That is true. Why are we so comfortable with such negative talks, but so awkward with positive self talk? And it's because we were never exposed to positivity. We were marinating in negativity. Duh. And so that is why. So affirmations can help achieve a sense of safety and hope. When we first start working with affirmation, they may feel dumb, hokey, embarrassing. Isn't this interesting? We can easily, without embarrassment, bludgeon ourselves with negative affirmations, but saying nice things about ourselves is notoriously hard to do. It feels pretty awful at first. And so here are some things to try. I deserve love. I deserve fair pay. I deserve a rewarding, creating life. I am brilliant and successful. I'm a creative artist. I have rich creative talents. I'm confident and competent in my creative work. And so when we start doing this, as you know, you might feel awkward, you might get more negative thoughts saying this is stupid. Pay attention to these. She calls them you'll be amazed at the rotten things your subconscious will blurt out. Write them down. These are blurred flags from your personal negative core beliefs. They hold the key to your freedom in their ugly little claws. So anytime you have those negative self-doubt, write them down. And you can also use your morning pages to do affirmation, or you can use it to get those negative thoughts. Anyways, that is for chapter 1. It concludes on that. We'll be doing our task. There are roughly 10 tasks at the end of this chapter. So for now, we could drop our pens. Class is over. That lesson is done. As you know, when you heal, strive less in. And I hope we are healing our mind, body, and spirit while we are bending societal expectation. I am Lotus Ubax, and thank you for watching Healing with Yoga and Creativity. Until next time,